everyone. So, part 3 for predictions now? I think I'm up to 3.
Who's gonna save the world tonight? Who's gonna bring it back to life? We're gonna make it, you and I. We're gonna save the world tonight. Que no pare la fiesta, don't stop the party.
Part 3 for predictions. I just checked. It is part 3, and today we're talking about the Greeks. So what does that mean? Annabeth, Percy, Leo, Piper, Grover. I'm going to consider him Greek. Chiron, Clarice, Coach Hedge. We got a lot to talk about, so let's get started. Let's go through the characters. First up, Percy. Perseus Jackson. So, like I said before, do not think he's going to die. If you have read The Son of Sobek, it sounds like it takes place before the Blood of Olympus, because he mentions Cronus and, like, demigod working for Cronus. But then you read the Staff of Seraphis, I think, and in that one, Annabeth is like, hey, Percy mentioned something about that a few weeks ago, and you're like, okay, this is definitely after the Blood of Olympus, because then she also mentions the Argo 2, Frank, and yeah. Yeah, so Percy lives, and plus we'd all just be crushed. If Rick Riordan killed Percy, we would just all be crushed, but I do think Percy's facing a lot more struggles in this book, okay? Because I mean, like, Tartarus, oh my god, that was a struggle, and speaking of Tartarus, he got really dark in Tartarus. I mentioned that in his review for House of Hades, but he got really dark in Tartarus, so I'm thinking that that's going to have an effect on Annabeth and Percy, okay? They seemed okay at the end, but we saw what happened to Nico. Nico was, like, out of it entirely, like, broken, just broken. Like, they describe his eyes as being broken, and I'm like, what's gonna happen to Percy and Annabeth? Like, they had each other down there, yes, they saw the watered down version, yes, but Percy saw that true version for a split second. How is this gonna affect them? No one survives Tartarus. Only these 3 have survived Tartarus. I'm scared that they're gonna, like, change. They're gonna become darker, maybe a little more quick to violence. I don't know, but it sounds like that. It definitely sounds like that. And he's also gonna have to face his fatal flaw. Yes, he is, because he's really loyal, and I'm sorry, I think someone's gonna die at in Greece. Where they're going in Greece, they're going to go, and that is where someone's gonna die in the final fight with Gaia, and then they're going to be rushing back to, like, they're going to have to rush back to Camp Half-Blood because they got the whole, like, Greeks versus Romans going on, because the statue might be back, which means that the gods are A-okay, I guess. That's what it means. They're going to solve their split personality disorders by getting that statue back, but that doesn't mean the Greeks and Romans are going to stop fighting. That's not good, that's not good. So I think he's going to have the fatal flaw issue in this book, because also going into Frank a little bit, we'll get more about Frank for the Roman predictions, but I do think that Frank is going to have to help Percy with this. So I don't think Frank's going to die, because I think someone might die at the fight with Gaia, and then Percy's going to have an issue with loyalty, because he's going to want to go back, go help them. It's going to be heroes sacrificing themselves for the deal, and he's going to want to go back, he's going to want to, like, help them, find them something, and Frank is like, we can't, I'm sorry, Percy, we can't, and that's how he's going to have to help him, because Mars mentioned that to him. Like I said, Nikos, Percy's going to find out, although I think Percy, it might take him a second, like, everyone else will be like, ugh, and he'll just be like, oh, I just think it'll take him a second. Okay? I do think that it will take him a second. So, I got this one from somebody online, and they said that they think it's going to be very personal for Percy, because at the end of a book, right before they get out, they're chopping the doors, something happens, and it sounds like this is becoming personal for Percy, this fight with Gaia, okay? And I mean, because of this fight with Gaia, Annabeth nearly died, and they were both thrown into Tartarus, and they both nearly died down there, and I'm not surprised it's becoming personal. So, yes, Percy will try to protect them. Guron, I think. But I don't know how to say his name. Yeah, Guron. I don't know how to say his name, but let's think back to The Last Olympian. Yep, all the way back in the Percy Jackson series. That now we're looking. Honestly, for me, I'm looking at the Percy Jackson series, going, compared to this, that was kind of easy. Like that. Like, I originally read the Percy Jackson series going, oh my god, they're never gonna make it. This is so difficult. It's so hard. How are they gonna win? And now I'm reading this one going, okay, that is actually easy compared to this. But think all the way back there, the fourth one. You remember that part where they come up and it's like the ranch area, and the guy with 3 bodies? Yeah, that guy. And Percy shot an arrow through 3 of them. Through all 3 bodies? Yeah, that guy's coming back. He was specifically mentioned seen going through the doors of death. Specifically. Okay? So, he's coming back, and my bet he's going to fight Percy because he probably is mad that Percy killed him. And this is going to be very challenging, too, because Percy killed him with the help of a god, or goddess. Okay? He prayed to Artemis and Apollo. Hera claimed to help him. You take your pick on who helped him, but like with giants, he needed help. So I'm kind of nervous about seeing him again. So, and yeah, right now that's about it for Percy. I don't have much for you because, like I said, the House of Hades was mainly like him in Tartarus. I'm really scared that they're going to be like darker or more distant. Maybe the whole thing just brought him closer. I don't know. They seemed fine at the end of House of Hades, but just based off of Nico, like, Nico seemed fine at the end of the Mark of Athena. But then during the House of Hades, he got, like, darker and more distant, and they kept describing his eyes as broken. And I'm like, oh, please don't let that happen to Percy and Annabeth. Please. Please. Nico's already dark and creepy, but not Percy and Annabeth. So, speaking of Annabeth, let's talk about her next. With Annabeth, I think she's going to have she and Percy are going to have a lot of challenges. Like I said, don't want her to be like that distant and that creepy and that dark. That is what I'm afraid of. And with her, somebody brought up that to storm or fire, the world must fall could also apply to her. Why? Well, same thing with the line. How everyone thinks that it could literally mean to storm or fire. It could also be a metaphor for Greek or Roman, but it could also be like eyes. Annabeth's eyes are always described as stormy. Somebody brought this up in a comment to another video, and they said that Annabeth's eyes are always stormy, and Clarice's eyes are always described as fiery. Storm or fire. Could it mean one of them? There's so many ways to interpret this, especially when you talk about metaphors, but that is what somebody brought up, and it's a fair point, and it's a pretty good point. I never thought of that. Especially since we know Clarice is coming back in because of Coach Hedge. Coach Hedge was like thinking at one point, or they brought up how Coach Hedge was the one to bring Clarice to Camp Half-Blood. He was the one to bring her there. So Clarice she's coming back into this. She's definitely going to come back into this. I have no idea how. Please let her be the one to punch Octavian out, because I could see her doing that. I could see her getting annoyed with him to the point where she's just like, I'm gonna punch him out. Anyone care? No. Good. I could see her doing that. I could see her doing that. I really hope somebody puts Octavian in his place and like slaps him around, yells at him, punches him out, launches him off a catapult is still an option. Ordering him to fall on his sword is an option too. Killing him is also an option. So many options for him. Somebody needs to do this already. Somebody. I still want to see more, and real fast, I still want to see more of Rachel and Octavian clashing, because it seems like he doesn't like the whole Spirit of Delphi thing. And I want her to give like a prophecy in front of him, and then all the Greeks be like, what? Be like, yeah, that's how we get our prophecies. You slice up teddy bears. So We don't. So much easier. So, moving on to Leo. Let's talk about Leo. So much to talk about with Leo. Yeah, not much about Annabeth. Sorry. Again, with Percy, I'm just so scared that she's gonna end up being like more distant or maybe more violent or jumpy, or I don't know. I just want them to be the same and be happy. Okay? So, next up is Leo. Oh, we got to talk about Leo. I have some fun predictions for you, some going back to my first predictions video. So, let's just start off real fast. Leo, Calypso, they're getting back together. I want to see that. I want to see them coming back together. I really just want to see Leo be like, hey everyone, this is Calypso. And Percy's going to be like, oh, Calypso. And Annabeth's going to be like, you want to tell me something? Because he never told Annabeth about Calypso. He never did. Annabeth figured it out, but he never actually said, I went to Calypso's island in the Battle of the Labyrinth. I'm going to need to reread the Battle of the Labyrinth now just because there's so much coming back from the Battle of the Labyrinth. So, oh, I want to see that part. And they are going to be together. They are going to be happy. He's going to show her everything. Maybe they're going to, like, at the end, they're going to go take the Argo 2 and just go around the world. That would be really cool. Like, she doesn't know anything about the world yet. And that would just be so sweet and awesome if that's what they did. Like, they just kind of went around the world and like showed her what the world is like now. 'Cause she was imprisoned way back when in, like, ancient times. So, yes. And they mentioned that they need two, a boy and a girl, for the blood of Olympus. So I'm like, could it be Leo and Calypso? That's how they bring her back? Because if they capture Calypso and then they get Leo, isn't that like the blood of Olympus? And they're also looking kind of for couples, it seems like. Is Calypso the blood of Olympus even though she's the daughter of a Titan? I don't know. Maybe she is. That'd be really awesome. But that's just one way that they could bring her back. And also, I want to bring up something. So, you guys remember from my last predictions video. If you haven't seen it yet, go watch it. I explained this a bit better, but somebody online brought up how they think someone's going to become a god. That's the gist of it. I mentioned the people I do think, and it could become a god, and one of them is Leo. And I just found something that just enforces that even more, okay? It also enforces that he's going to have to play a very major role in this. So if you guys remember from The Lost Hero, we got all those flashbacks about their past, okay? And Leo mentioned, you know, like his fake aunt that was really Hera, who would watch him when he was younger, and he brought up a memory of her placing him in fire. You know, okay, gonna take your nap now, into the fire. And then, you know, that's like weird, and we're all like, why did she do that? Then I read Percy Jackson's Greek Gods, which, by the way, fantastic book. You gotta read it, okay? It's so much fun, and it's so funny hearing all these, like, mythological gods talk like they're in this century. It's pretty funny, because they're like, dude, that's awesome! And it's really funny and awesome, so go read it. But in one of the myths, they bring up, I believe it was with Demeter, in this myth, that Demeter, when Persephone went missing, she went crazy trying to find her, and she came to a kingdom, and the kingdom, like, didn't know she was a goddess yet, and they were like, you gotta stay with us, we'll help you find your daughter. Like, you know, my son will, the queen was like, my son will go out and spread the word, see if he can find anything. And, like, she's like, you know, thank you for helping, and to, like, reward them almost, the queen had given birth to a son, like, probably that day or a few days ago or something like that, and it takes care of him, because, you know, because we've all seen the movies, we've all seen the TV shows. Every time the parents get a new child, it never stops crying. So Demeter was like, I'll watch him for a night, and the queen was like, okay, I trust you. And Demeter starts making him a god by, yep, you guessed it, placing him in fire. And letting him just sleep in the fire while she sang a lullaby. A Greek lullaby. Exactly what Hera did with Leo. Placing him in fire and singing a lullaby. Could Leo already be a god? Probably not, because the same thing happened as it did in the myth, where mom came running in, pulled her child out of the fire, and then, they both just like, okay, he's not a god now, but he'll be a great hero. Either way, he's going to be important. But Leo's not going to die. He's not going to, I don't want him to die, he's not going to die, then again, I don't want any of them to die. But I really, 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 really don't want him to die, because I want him and Calypso to be together, and he's so funny. Last prediction for now is that in his drawing, that they also bring up during that scene, in his drawing, they mention that he had, it was drawn with fire around it. The entire ship was fire. Could the ship, burst into flames in this book, maybe? Maybe, I don't know, but that would be really cool. I don't know if that was just a metaphor or something, but that would be really cool, and that would also go for storm or fire. Okay, we're back to that line of the prophecy. Maybe the prophecy to storm or fire means the ship. I don't know. Rick Riordan likes to be discreet about these things and not say much and make it very difficult. And of course, writers love their metaphors, which this line has to be. Although watch it not be a metaphor, and it's going to be just literally to storm or fire. I really can't wait for that book to come out, but don't think Leo's gonna die. I don't. So now for Piper. Okay, Piper, still don't think she's gonna die, and don't really have any, thing on here about her. But I don't think she's gonna die. I think she's gonna play a role in this part, especially with this charm speak, and she's learning how to sword fight, and something about the way that they were comparing charm speak to magic made me go, could Piper be able to do magic now? Maybe. Could be. Maybe Hazel, shows her a spell or two. That'd be fun. Okay, so I do think Piper's gonna play a role in this, and it's gonna be a pretty big role. Maybe she'll learn some magic along the way. But I don't know much for her, and it seems like she's going to wield that cornucopia a lot more in this next one. I would love to see that. It's so much fun to see her find random foods to throw at them. That's awesome. Now, I have one thing in here about Chiron. This is going to be really interesting to see Chiron, watching these two camps fight, because he's supposed to train heroes. And I'm just really interested to see him fight them. Is he going to help fight against the Romans? Or is it they're still demigods? I'm going to leave this to you guys, because he seemed really weary about all of this. So, he might fight, though, because it's still Camp Half-Blood. It's his camp. Come on. He might fight. He might fight, but maybe he won't. Let's see here. Really nervous about the couple, because it seems so quickly going back to Gaia, it seems like they need a couple. Oh, it seems like they need a couple, and there's so many couples here. Especially for Percy and Annabeth, it seemed like they were kind of the main target, almost. It really did. It seems like they're the main target to get to wake up Gaia. Okay, and I'm not too sure what the blood of Olympus has to do with this. Rick Riordan did say that it came from a myth. And I did find one myth, in Me and My Friend, if you remember Goldfish from the last video, we did find one myth where it talks about how there's a giant flood, because, as they said in Percy Jackson's Greek Gods, every religion needs a good flood story, apparently. So, in this one, they, have the flood and stuff, and now they need to repopulate the earth because a lot of people died in the flood. So to do this, the king and queen who survived go to the oracle, because they're the oracle. They're gonna survive. And in the oracle part, the oracle tells them to use the banes of their mother, which of course is referring to Gaia, and to throw those over their shoulders. So they go outside, they figure out it means Gaia, and they get a bunch of rocks, and as they throw them over their shoulders, these rocks become human. So could that be it? Because that does mention rocks. Okay, and maybe with the blood, if blood is spilt on them, something happens. But I don't know. It sounds really, it's so far-fetched. But that's the myth we heard. Anything else on here? Oh yes, real fast with Piper. I'll probably mention this again next week. With Piper, I think she's gonna figure out Nico's secret. Yep, I really do think she's gonna figure out Nico's secret because her mom's the goddess of love. Jason's not gonna want to say anything. She's gonna know Jason's hiding something. You can't hide anything from girls. You really can't. Okay, and especially her. She's gonna know that something's up. So when she tries to figure it out, he just probably tell her it's like, it's something with Nico. I promised him I wouldn't tell anyone. And maybe she keeps asking questions. Maybe she starts putting the pieces together, and then click, it all makes sense. So I could see that happening maybe throughout the book, as like I said, Nico's secret's probably gonna cause some problems amongst the 7. But I'll talk more about that next week, because next week we're talking about the Romans. Yes, the Romans, who are attacking the Greeks. But that's what we're going to talk about next week. Still doing character reviews. I'm going to talk about the Chimera from Daughter of Smoke and Bone. And when I say the Chimera, I mean all of them, because a lot of them just played like smaller parts. It's strange. It's like the Rangers from Ranger's Apprentice. But as of right now, keeping up with this countdown, we have about 13 more days left until Blood of Olympus. 13. We're getting there. We're getting there. 13 more days left until Blood of Olympus. Almost there. Almost there. Next week we'll be talking about the Romans, and then the Blood of Olympus shall come out. Thanks for watching. Bye.